So as I was saying, that the midterm is now finalized by a department committee. So this will be there. In week 10, we will try to have your labs. There are 4 labs. Labs 1 and 2 happen together. Labs 3 and 4 happen together. Their distribution is here. Lab manuals will be sent to you. If by that time we are on campus, then you can have the labs here. If we are still online, then we will try to send you the videos and so on for the labs, and we will see how it goes. Chapter 6 will then happen, right? So this is happening. We are continuing with the course outline, right, for weeks 12, 13, 14, and so on. So chapter 6 is still going on. Then chapter 12 is there about joining and fastening and welding and so forth. We may have some time for review and tutorials and so on. And final exam, I mean, again, this is not something that we decide. This is done by the admissions and registration. It will be on 20th May at 3 p.m. This is the final exam time. So this is the tentative course outline. I keep on repeating the word tentative. We will try to follow it as much as we can, but from time to time we may make small changes in the schedule as we like or as we need. Now, as I said, ABET certification is there. So ABET gives certain guidelines. This is not part of your course, but it is very good for you to know that ABET, which is the largest organization in the world for certifying engineering colleges and universities. Just like, you know, if there is an industry which is making any product, then ISO, International Standards Organization, is a worldwide organization that will come and inspect and check and give you a certificate that this industry is world standard or not. So ABET, we do a lot of work, and then their teams come and they look at all our records and course files and labs, and they meet students and faculty and interview and so on. And in the end, if they are satisfied that if we are as good as any good American or Australian or English university, then they give us the certificate. So according to ABET, the first ability that students should have is ability to identify, formulate, and solve complex engineering problems by applying principles of engineering, science, and mathematics. This is the first ability. Earlier, ABET used to have abilities named A, B, and C. So number 1 now is actually ability E, ability A and ability E in the previous ABET scheme. A was an ability to apply knowledge of mathematics, science, and engineering. And E was an ability to identify, formulate, and solve engineering problems. So this is what you want to do as an engineer. You can identify that there is an engineering problem. You can formulate it in terms of a mathematical problem or so on. You can write what the problem is, and you can solve the problem by using whatever methods of design and manufacturing and so on. To do this, you should be able to apply your knowledge of mathematics, your knowledge of science, and your knowledge of other engineering subjects, right? So when these two combine, then you get number 1. Here in SQU, we thought that ability A is too many things together. So therefore we divided it: applies knowledge of mathematics, applies knowledge of science, applies knowledge of engineering. So in this materials course, we usually don't do this. I am not testing how good your mathematics is, but these two we apply in this course. Similarly, from E, we are breaking it in SQU to identify and formulate the problem, and second, to solve the problem. You see, if I give you a material science problem, can you solve it? This is one thing. But I give you a situation and you yourself tell me what the problem is, then you can identify and formulate it, right? So that is E1 and E2. So this is only just to explain to you, and read ABET outcome 4 or outcome J, ABET outcome 6 or outcome B, and so on. B actually, is the ability to design and conduct experiments and to analyze and interpret the data. So B is the one that applies to labs. Unfortunately, this time labs are only online, right? So these are the ABET student. You have now had quite some general background about the course, right? Course outline, other details, and so on. You have had some introduction about the course instructor, myself, and so on. So now let us formally start the course. Chapter 1, which is introduction. If you have been with me in other courses, you would know my feeling about it. If you are new with me in this course, then again I would like to share that feeling or that observation from my side. Around the world, many teachers of technical courses, engineering and medicine and science and so on, try to avoid the chapter on introduction to save time, because they have to cover a lot of topics and so on, and they directly jump into the technical chapters thinking that introduction is general. But there can be two ways to do it, of course. One is that, yes, if we can save the time spent in the introduction chapter, then we can give more time to the other topics. So each topic in manufacturing, for example, will be covered in more detail. But that would be possible in a society, in an atmosphere where you are very much ready or used to reading and so on your own. So we say that this is the chapter in the textbook, and we will help you out and we will try to make some lecture notes for it. But you go ahead and cover this introduction yourself. But you seriously, thoroughly read it, understand it, and we will have quizzes and so on from this chapter. So if you agree to do that, then I can say, okay, I will leave that. The other is that, no, the instructor actually goes through the lectures on this. I prefer this second one. Even if I am in an atmosphere where the university is one of the top universities in the world, I would still like, as an instructor, as a teacher, as a professor, to go through the chapter on introduction. Why? You see, I have certain targets as a teacher. I don't know what your targets are as a student. Hopefully they match. One of my targets is that at the end of the semester, whatever topics we cover in this course, you really know those topics. You have a very good understanding of those topics. If there are some practical things involved, you can physically, practically, with your own hands do them. If there are problems to be solved, you can solve any complicated problems. If there are engineering decisions and so on that you have to make regarding this course, you can do that. So this is a course on manufacturing processes, right? So at the end of the semester here, you should become very good in the manufacturing processes that we cover here, right? So that is one of my targets. The second of my targets always is that you have a very good grade. You see, I, as a teacher or an instructor, put all my efforts in trying to make the lectures as interactive, as interesting, as complete, as thorough as I can. And every semester I try to improve my lectures and so on. And right, so from my side, I try to do my level best and I try to keep on improving. From your side, it will of course depend on your reaction to me, right? That I am trying to, communicate that information and so on, how well you are interactively doing it with me. But if both of us are doing it, that I am trying my level best and you are trying your level best, then you should get a very good grade. So you should know the course very well and you should have a very good grade. These are the two things that I want from my side, and hopefully you also want the same two things. Now, for both of these, right, to understand the course very well and to perform very well in terms of grades, you need to be really interested in the course. You need to be motivated. So in the chapter on introduction, it is my job to motivate you that this is a very critically important course for engineering students. It is not just a course that you have to cover, right? So that is one part, that in introduction, I would try to excite you and motivate you about the course, and hopefully I will succeed. The second thing is that each later chapter, this chapter is on casting, this chapter is on extrusion, this chapter is on welding. So there is only a portion of the world of manufacturing that you cover in one individual chapter. But what is the whole field of manufacturing? What is the overall view of the course? What are the different chapters or manufacturing techniques that are inside the course? If you don't do introduction, you don't have an overall idea of the topic, of the field, right? So this is what the chapter of introduction does, that two major things. It tries to motivate you and excite you about the importance and the place of the course in the overall scheme of engineering. And then it gives you a full picture of the course rather than only individual chapters, right? So that is what we will try to do in the next few slides. Now, manufacturing is the backbone of engineering. Backbone, you see, you cannot stand if your backbone is broken. You will fall down, right? You can stand, you are straight only if the backbone is strong. And for people whose backbone is weak, even though they can stay up, but they are curved, they are bent. So you are not strongly stand, right? So backbone, right? So manufacturing is the backbone of engineering, isn't it? So therefore now one thing which I will do throughout the course, please don't read the slide. If I have read only the heading for you, then stop there, don't read the next lines. Because many times I will ask you to be interactive. If you were in the class, I will say that please don't read it and we will talk and then we will proceed. Here I cannot do that, we are online, but at least if you respond to me the way you will respond inside the class, then we are online running an interactive session sort of, right? So before proceeding and before me telling you why is manufacturing the backbone of engineering, I will ask you just one thing, right? Don't read the rest of the thing, but read this only. What is the definition of engineering? What is the definition of engineering? You stop the video, think for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and try to come up with a simple English language. Simple English language. You are trying to explain to a child of year 5 in the school, of year 8 in the school. You are trying to tell it to your mom or your sister or somebody that what is engineering in your language, right? So please don't read. You can always read, but if you think and you respond, right, your bulb is on, your mental bulb is on, then it is a much better way of learning than just reading and so on, right? So think on it. So if I was in the class, somebody would say that engineering means making things, right? Somebody would say engineering means solving problems. Somebody would say engineering means applying science, right? And so on. Engineering means factories. Engineering means refineries. But all of these are right. None of these answers is wrong, isn't it? But if you have just one sentence that please give me one complete sentence in simple words of the English language, simple words of the English language, so that everybody agrees that this is the definition. So that is what we want. So you can think again before continuing.